everybody. Here today with our next midweek sermon. Today we're going to be in Luke 17, verses 11 through 13. It says, "On the way to Jerusalem, he was passing along between Samaria and Galilee, and he entered a village. He was met by 10 lepers. He stood at a distance and lifted up their voices, saying, 'Jesus, Master, have mercy on us.'" So here at the beginning of this text, I want you to notice where Jesus is going. He's on his way to Jerusalem. Now, Luke has been reminding us of this again and again, that Jesus is moving toward the cross. He is moving toward his ultimate betrayal, his suffering, and his death. And Luke continually reminds us of that, if you notice, going through this section of the Gospel of Luke. And on the way to Jerusalem, he meets 10 lepers. These men are standing at a distance because that's kind of what their condition required. I mean, a lot of you know this. Leprosy in the Bible could refer to a variety of serious skin diseases. But whatever their exact condition was, the result was the same. They were unclean, which means that they were separated from society. They could not simply move through society like everyone else. They could not live normal lives. They were pushed to the edges, okay? And I think that's important in this story, and we should feel the weight of that because these men have lost more than their health. They had lost community. They had lost just the simplicity of physical touch, just the normalcy of life. They had lost the ability to walk into a room without everyone noticing what was wrong with them. So here they stand at a distance. And from a distance they cry out, "Jesus, Master, have mercy on us." That's their very simple prayer, which a lot of times is ours as well. But, notice what they pray and what they ask is, it's like, "Hey, Jesus, it isn't, Jesus, look at what I deserve. Jesus, look at what I've earned. Jesus, compare me to everybody else." It's just, Jesus, very simply, have mercy on me. And, I mean, honestly, as I was looking at this text, like, that is where one of us comes from. It's that very simplicity. We come to Jesus empty-handed. We come to Jesus needy, unable to heal ourselves, unable to cleanse ourselves, unable to save ourselves. It's the offense of grace. That grace means you do not bring your resume to Jesus. You bring your need. You do not come to Christ saying, "Hey, look what I've done." You come saying, "Jesus, have mercy on me." And the good news of the gospel is that Jesus is actually full of mercy. If you look at verse 14, it says, "When he saw them, he said to them, 'Go and show yourselves to the priest.' And as they went, they were cleansed." I love the story, right? That word "saw," it means that Jesus actually saw them. Like, when you walk into a room, there's some people, like, you know they're there, but then you walk into a room and you see somebody. And you see their face, you see their body language, or you know what's going on in their life, and you actually see them. Jesus, that's what that word, specifically in the Greek, is referring to, that Jesus saw them. He set his gaze upon them, and he tells them, "Hey, go show yourselves to the priests," because that's what the law required, that the priest could examine them and declare them clean, which means that they could re-enter society. They could go home, they could hug their families, they could worship in the community again, they could get their lives back. And Luke says, as they went, they were cleansed. So that means all 10 of them. All 10 of them were cleansed, which is important. Like 10 men cried out for mercy. 10 men were healed. 10 men had their changed lives. But then the crux of the story is verse 15. "And then one of them, when he saw that he was healed, he turned back." So 10 men. 9 of them just go along with their lives, thankful, full of gratitude. But one turned back. And Luke tells us exactly what he did. It says he was praising God with a loud voice. And he fell on his face at Jesus' feet, giving him thanks. That's important. So this man, he sees what's happened. He turns, he praises, he falls, he gives thanks. And Luke adds one little sentence. And he says, "Now he was a Samaritan." Of course he was. Right? Luke loves to do this. The Gospels love to do this. It's the outsider that gets it. It's the outsider that understands what happens? The one everyone else would have looked down on is the one who sees the most clearly. The Samaritan is the only one who comes back. And I think this is where we have to be careful with this passage, because right now this little mini sermon could just be, hey, just be thankful. Be the one who thanks Jesus. And yeah, Christians absolutely should be thankful. We should be people filled with gratitude. But there's something much deeper happening here, because the great tragedy of the story is not simply that 9 men forgot to write a thank you note. The tragedy is that 9 men received the gift and missed the giver. They got what they wanted from Jesus, and they just moved on. And if we're not careful, we can do the same thing. We can want Jesus to fix our marriage. We can want Jesus to heal our body. We can want Jesus to help our kids. We can want Jesus to provide. We can want Jesus to give us peace. There's nothing wrong with those things. But there's danger in wanting what Jesus can give us more than we want Jesus himself. The 9 received healing, but 1 came back. One of the great dangers of living in a world filled with is a theological term known as common grace, right? Common grace is the idea that God is kind, the sun rises, the rain falls, food grows, we have laughter, our bodies heal, we have friendships. Everyone in the world experiences beauty and joy and love. God pours out gifts upon every single person constantly. But gifts do not automatically produce worship. If they did, everyone would worship. The human heart is so twisted by sin that we can receive mercy from God and use that very mercy to run further from him. We can breathe God's air while denying God's existence. We can enjoy God's creation while refusing the Creator. We can receive daily bread and never pray, God, give us this day our daily bread. And that's how deep sin goes. So we don't merely need better circumstances. What we need and what we see in this text is that we need new hearts. We need eyes to see. And that's why our understanding of grace is so important. Because when this Samaritan turns around, we're not watching a morally superior man congratulate himself for being more thankful than the other 9. We're watching grace open a man's eyes. He sees that the healing is not the greatest treasure. Jesus is. And so he turns back. And he falls at Jesus' feet, because the man who had been forced to stand at a distance is now at the feet of Jesus. And I love that contrast, right? I hope you caught it. At the beginning of the story, it says they stood at a distance. And then at the end of the story, it says he fell on his face at Jesus' feet. That's what mercy does, right? Mercy brings near those who are far off. And that's the gospel. Sin has left us unclean. Sin leaves us separated from a holy God. Sin leaves us unable to fix ourselves. But Jesus does not wait for clean people to come near. Jesus makes people clean. So many of us, when we fall into sin, or we just become apathetic, or we get caught up in things, man, we distance ourselves from God. We distance ourselves from the church. And we just think, okay, well, when I fix myself, then I'll return. Without realizing, no, he's the one who makes you clean. He makes you clean. He brings you back. And I love that it's on his way to Jerusalem that he does that, right? Remember the beginning of the story, on the way to Jerusalem, that Jesus is heading to the cross. Everything that's happening is just a foreshadow of what the ultimate redemption is going to be, that he's going to bear sin. He's going to take judgment. He's going to be treated as the unclean one, so that unclean people like us can be brought near. He will be cast outside the city. He will be rejected. He will suffer. He will die. 3 days later, he will rise. And so all the sinners who stood at a distance at the wanting and just needing and hoping for something, those are going to be the ones to fall at the feet of Jesus when they understand what the call is. The call to be clean, the call to be forgiven, the call to be his. And then Jesus asks, were you not cleansed? Is what he asked the guy. He says, were you not cleansed? Where are the 9? That question haunts me a little. Where are the 9? Because it is possible to be surrounded by the mercy of God and never truly understand the mercy of God. It's possible to know Bible stories, to attend church, to sing songs, to experience blessing, to have prayers answered and still miss Jesus. And so Jesus says to the man, rise and go on your way. Your faith has made you well. And that's the final difference, right? 10 were cleansed, but to this one, he gets truth from Jesus. This man did not merely receive healing, he came to Jesus, and that's what saving faith does. Saving faith does not merely say, hey, Jesus, give me something. Saving faith sees Jesus as the treasure. So maybe the question today is not simply, hey, am I thankful enough today? Maybe the deeper question is, what do I actually want and need from Jesus? And not only that, maybe the deeper question is, do I actually want Jesus? Right? Do I actually want? Because the greatest gift Jesus can give you is not a better life. It's not easier circumstances. The greatest gift Jesus can give you is himself. It's himself. And some of you know that. Some of you are finding that. Some of you desperately want to think like that, right? Sometimes it's only when we begin to lose our gifts, right? The gifts that God has given us, that we discover that Jesus was actually enough for us. When that prayer is not answered, when the body doesn't do what it's supposed to do, when the relationship isn't restored, when the person we love doesn't come back, when life just spirals. And those moments, the question becomes painfully real. Is Jesus enough? Is he still good? The gospel says yes. Not because the pain is small, not because the loss does not matter, because Jesus is just simply better. He's better than the gifts. He's better than the healing. He's better than the life that we thought we wanted. 10 men walked away with clean skin. Cool. 1 came back and fell at the feet of Jesus. So will you be that one that understands what is happening? It's the King of the world. It's God in flesh. It's the Messiah. And so are we captivated by the gifts that Jesus gives us, or are we captivated by him, right? That we would turn back, we would fall at his feet, because the greatest mercy is not merely that Jesus gives us good gifts. The greatest mercy is that we got an encounter with Jesus, and he's so much better than anything else. So if that challenges you and reminds you that, and one, take a stock of all whatever's going on. What are the gifts that God has given you, right? What is the call for you, right? That to be healed, or to find freedom, or to just have hope. And when we get those things, to remember to turn back and fall at his feet, right? Because he's so worthy of all of our praise and all of our affection. So I hope you think on that until Sunday. Love you guys. Look forward to preaching with you this weekend. All right. Have a good day.